Crumblestiltskin466. Stand by on Instagram as well. Come on. Checking connection. Apologies, it's taking forever. The joy of connecting the internet, eh? Going live. Okay, hopefully that'll be all right. Finally, okay, let's just turn this light down a little bit. Bit better. Episode 466. Welcome. I'm going to refer to my notes. Okay, so over on YouTube, I call this one Crumblestiltskin, should I say? The crumbling of the institutional narrative. It's kind of obvious what's happening, isn't it? You don't need anyone like me to spell it out. Okay, just some talking points I'd like to cover tonight. I'm going to try and be effective. Are we seeing a crumbling regime? There was an old saying, apparently, scratch a leftist, find a fascist. The Canadian convoy, of course, blatant, in plain sight psyop. We know about the GoFundMe, outlandish theft. Who among you think that Bitcoin is a way out of this, where you're hamstringing a government by using a currency that's not tangible? I certainly prefer that. I certainly think it's a good idea to take some power away from government. It's why governments hate cryptocurrency, of course. I did notice, although I permanently deactivated my account half a year ago, that Facebook is and has banned any sort of talk or group belonging or membership of the Canadian truckers. What else did I write down? These are just some talking points I want to go through. Yeah, victim consciousness, victim mentality, of course, Rogan Gate, pretty hard to ignore. But whether you're aware, obviously most people are, the nonsense regarding Rogan, the even bigger nonsense with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, public displays of nonsense. The word nonsense is something that kind of grips in my head a little bit. It takes hold. I'm now looking at words like nonsense and just trying to break them down. Non-sense. So that's a framework of understanding for a mind like mine, because ultimately most of what I talk about is trying to make sense of things of this. The thing that's becoming extremely apparent is the disdain that governments have for their people. So if you haven't felt it now, you will do. But if you haven't felt it prior to this point, I'm sure you are now, and that's unless you're a fully invested member. If you're fully invested in compliance and acquiescence, then no, you probably won't feel it. But for the rest of us that are, you don't even have to be anti-authoritarian, just able to have conversation and to question things. We are, again, you've only got to look at this through the lens of finance to relieve yourself of any stress. Because if you're one of those people that gets their news from mainstream channels, then it's understandable that you're in a tizzy. And you shouldn't be. You really shouldn't be, because the narrative that's obviously gone from, we had here in the UK Brexit, and I know narrative is a catch-all term, it's a catch-all phrase, but it is. It's a script. The script flippers keep on flipping. So this is no different than to my, in my mind, to a show writer, to somebody that writes for a long-standing series. So if you're oh, we need a new season of this, Ozark season 4, whatever. That's literally, as long as you reason with it and reason with yourself like that, you'll be okay. So if you're finding yourself uptight or worried or vexed, frightened, actually, a lot of people get frightened. A lot of people got frightened by COVID, and prior to that, they were frightened and concerned and worried about Brexit. So, like I said, there's always a storyline, there's always a script, there's always a narrative, because someone, I can't remember who, this was many years ago, it might have been a co-worker, but just someone, because it stuck in my head. I'm sure it was a co-worker, actually. I was only about 19, and it was someone senior to me just said, could you imagine if there was no bad news? There would be no news, there would be no delivery of the news, because the news, by its very nature, is bad news. So if you were to turn on your screens and a suited and booted anchor, sat there and said, good evening, tonight's news is fantastic. Everyone's doing well, the economy's doing well, people are healthy, families are growing, the jobs are up, deaths are down, births are up. If it was just like green light, good, tick, 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 tick. If it was all good news, there would be no news. And we all know if it bleeds, it leads. We all know this, but the narrative has to be bad. So when there was a clear shift, quite a seismic shift in the corona nonsense going down, caveat, of course I acknowledge corona, COVID is real. Of course I've never said it wasn't real, but it's the nonsense, the theatre surrounding it. That's what I'm referring to, the over egging of it all. So in recent days and weeks, it's been really quite sort of acute what's been happening. As in the UK here and in the US, because the US had to follow suit, because if we did it, they'd look very silly if they didn't, because we've always had that alignment, haven't we? We've always had that kind of Velcro relationship between us and the US. So I would imagine the pressure that the Biden administration was under once our Boris, kind of just deactivated the whole COVID mania, and lifting the sort of nonsensical rules surrounding it. It would be a real egg on the face moment for Biden if he didn't do something the same as or identical to, in terms of policy, action, in terms of physically acting. So again, if I just deal with the UK, we had Brexit, and then of course we had this whole COVID thing, and now it's got to be something else. Like I said, there has to be a narrative, there has to be a storyline, there has to be a script, there has to be a new season. I'm at the point now where I'm trying to transcend my mind from thinking about the sport of, oh, it's a right wing topic or a left wing topic or a right wing opinion or a left wing opinion. You know, that awful political aisle thing. I'm literally trying to train myself to go beyond that and just to look at this from that kind of satellite purview, that alien purview slash point of view, where it's not a snobbish looking down upon, but it's just trying to, metaphorically elevate yourself to look down on this and go, hang on a minute, this is not what it appears to be. You, we, I, you, all of us are surrounded by, again, I think a crumbling regime. The term PSYOP, psychological operation, is something that's been around since, gosh, well, the First and the Second World War. When you literally use a psychological operation, whether it be a small, intimate, one spy here. I'm being hyperbolic on purpose to try and convey the point, but I'll make it filmic for you. So a psyop might mean, that kind of like Russian, double agent, whatever, and they have this, psychological operation, and it's an American spy, that sort of thing. But if you to, basically enlarge that, magnify that is the word I'm looking for. I know we're at a point now where, firstly, understand it's all about money. I think so long as you are okay in your head and you're not, because you could take a view that it's a red pill, blue pill, black pill, white pill. So long as you understand that it is, and when I say it, again, I mean the narrative, the conversation, the thing that's going on. Your daily discourse. So long as you understand and accept and don't fret and don't get frightened. I mean, it's literally, look. I'm nobody. I'm literally nobody. I'm not an expert. I'm not qualified, and I don't claim to be. I'm not sitting here saying, guess what? I've got some, you know, superior knowledge. I've got some alien tech in my head that makes me have a greater understanding than y'all. I'm in possession, of facts that are just only that I've been privy to behind secret sort of closed doors that government, it's just talking bollocks. I'm not saying that. It's not even like, what I'm saying is radical or revolutionary or just it's kind of rhetorical. I think what I'm saying, a lot of things I say, I think are quite rhetorical. Um, like real duh. Um, I'm at the, like I say, it's not even a case of, oh, I'm trying to dispense advice. I'm literally trying to say, I do this, give it a go. I suppose that is the advice, isn't it? But if you find yourself unwittingly wrapped up in this, unwillingly, I mean, look, some people are willfully blind, some people are fully paid up and indoctrinated and fanatical and um, bear in mind there is a certain portion, there's a certain percentage of society that are absolutely cool with this, that are absolutely, you know, whether they be a red or a blue person, conservative or Democrat, conservative, Labour, whatever. So a Republican, Democrat in America. Whatever side you happen to be on, there are some people that are very happy with that. Personally, I'm not. I don't like the idea of sides. I like the idea of having again more of a satellite purview. When you're looking down on it and just trying to assess it like an umbrella optics. So I'm just looking at a couple of notes I took really here. Just looking at again, you've only got to jump onto YouTube to see the conversation. Most podcasters, most live streamers are talking about, the Canadian truckers. They're talking Trudeau. They're talking Boris. Talking Biden. Ukraine. There's literally a kind of like a 5 or 6 part thread. So there's, pick a topic. It's like, pick a branch. I'm just suggesting, I'm literally suggesting that we are, that we can do this together. We can literally do this together. And that is to, it's not even like you've got to be, um, you know, possessed of a radical notion and be like, oh, I'm going to start chanting and put a, some sort of robe on and smoke, funny drugs. It's not even. I'm not even saying that. All I'm saying is, free your mind. It's like just let yourself off the hook, let yourself off their hook. Because I don't know about you, but I certainly feel when I was fully invested in watching the news and reading the news and listening to various reports, and again, not even accommodating, not even, taking account of a colossal bent to one direction or the other. So, depending on your chosen news source, whether you're a person that watches the BBC or you're in America looking at Fox or CNN or whatever. Number one, like an overwhelmingly biased slant, so it's not objective. It's completely subjective, and to the point of being just a complete smear campaign. If you can just take yourself out of that and look literally down on it like an alien, imagine you're an alien, imagine you are the satellite looking down, and then it becomes funny. It becomes like earlier on, I was in the gym, I was just doing a bit of training, and when you watch just like you can, if you're in a gym or a public place and they've got like a decent large screen telly and there's that little flashing thing or whatever it's called at the bottom that goes by, there's a real name for it, the running thing that runs from left to right. I don't know what the real name is. Someone might know, but whatever that's called, where it gives the news feed. That I just looked at it, I started to giggle. So I just thought, this is a movie. This is a movie. It's like the Truman Show. So much of this is the Truman Show. Life imitates art and art imitates life, and it's funny. The adult in me says I must caveat that by saying, oh, I'm not making fun of the ill people, or I'm not laughing at COVID, I'm not, making light of it. I'm just trying to talk away from that. I'm trying to make a departure from that. So in terms of me yapping on, I'm not ever diluting or downplaying the incredible seriousness of what's gone on. But what I am trying to convey is how much bullshitting and tweaking and nonsense and amping up, literally panto, like he's behind you, a real pantomime level of nonsense. Even this Rogan thing, where every news item seems to be about Joe Rogan, he's not worth it. I mean, and I like Joe Rogan. I've been watching Joe Rogan for, goodness me, a dozen years before it was trendy to do so. So yeah, 2010 I started watching Joe, the podcasts, when I was on dialysis, because each 3-hour podcast, if I doubled up and saw 2 episodes, that would get me through my 6.5 hours of dialysis, you see. And that was summer 2010. So yeah, like a dozen years of watching Rogan. My point is, I therefore obviously like, his podcast, but if Spotify have paid him 100 mil, which they have, and now Rumble are offering him 100 mil, he's laughing. And even if you were to minus the money, he's still laughing. So I think so much of what's going on is, again, in plain sight, psyop, the Canadian truckers, any spokesperson in a suit representing a government is literally a court jester, and you'd be foolish to think otherwise. I'm telling you, that's the level of indoctrination, brainwashing that we're all ingrained with, and I include myself up until relatively recently in this group of being spellbound, being under the hypnosis, or as Peter McCullough said, the mass formation psychosis. But it's true. I know the mainstream media didn't like that term, sorry, mass formation psychosis, because it's true. What do we say? What do we think? What do we mean? Well, that means that if you go to your place of work and you typically speak to 20 people in a day, most of them, apart from a couple, will agree. So let's say you're in an office in the UK and you work with 20 people, the chances are, the likelihood is, of those 20 bods that you work with, your peer group in the office, there might be 16 to 18 that are all in this same box. But there'll be a couple of outliers, and they'll be called extremists, they'll be called right-wingers, they'll be called Nazis. And, again, even the language is back to front and upside down. I've spoken about this on this live stream many times, about the dilution of words, the killing of language, the effectiveness, the weight of words. I mean, goodness me, 60, 70 years ago, an actual Nazi was a very, very serious, awful person. But of course now, as a pejorative, it's become so overused and so diluted and so sort of scattered. You know what I mean? It's become like bird feed. Like, I'll just throw it. It's very. Do you know what I mean? It's like words like homophobe, Nazi, sexist. And of course the biggest, racist. Again, catch-all term. To be an actual bigot, an actual sexist, an actual racist, an actual Nazi, if you were really those things, you'd be a real piece of shit. So I just say we are living in a time of pantomime, exaggeration. The narrative is crumbling, and good-o. I mean, that's literally all I've got. Is just, don't get too deep. If you see a video of someone talking to their GP on their phone on Facebook, or somebody, showing a clip from apparently a news conference of doctors saying the vaccine's bad. Look, all I will say is set and setting. There's just one of those, just like, there's a and he's gone, he's done. So look, that'll do. That's 23 minutes of me giving it, I feel a bit rudderless, I feel a bit directionless. I'm going to try and apex my arguments and presentations more. Probably the way forward with this live stream now is for me to get to the point where I've trimmed the fat. Tonight's an improvement because the last few have been god awful. Yes, look, I've still got lots to do. I'm trying to buck my own ideas up. I'm trying to, I'm not making excuses, but it's just me. I've been here for 2 years on my own. I know I got myself in a bit of a rut recently. Psychologically, got myself a little bit in a pickle. I lost a friend at the weekend who I hadn't spoken to for nigh on a year, but nonetheless I'd known the guy for a couple of decades, was very fond of him. He was only 2 years my senior. He passed away. It kind of hurt. So I feel very sorry for his wife and his 2 children, of course. But he's in America, so look, it's just a reminder to wake up and smell the coffee, as they say. It's just leading you down the primrose path. Ferris Bueller. But look, Russell Brand's right. They're all right. Everyone's right. But look, whether you're riding, the Rogan train or not, just be aware that it is all about money. So look, as much as Joe Rogan is a force for good, and he is, it's about money. You know, the conversation's about money, the reporting's about money, the psyop is money, the politics is money, the news is money. Do you know what I mean? The narrative is apple crumble. It's like the Roman Empire is in ruins. Okay, we are hopefully falling down. And I mean that because I don't think that's a bad thing. I hope this is unravelling. So this has been Justin House on episode 466 of TrueHouse. I hope you enjoyed it. We're back tomorrow night, Thursday, episode 467. Yeah, okay. Same time, same place, same ugly face. Cheers.